This is the first time in over 20 years that mortgage interest rates are above 7%. But how is this really affecting the housing market across the country? So I'm located here in San Antonio, Texas. I'm a licensed realtor, and the market is actually doing pretty well. Let's take a look at the data. Now, before actually jumping to the San Antonio real estate market, let's actually take a look at the mortgage interest rates over the years. If you take a look, going back all the way to the 1970s, they actually started out right around where we're at just about right now, 7.31%. And that entire decade ended above 7% at around 7.5%. Now, going from the 80s to the 90s, they went from 7.5% all the way up to over 9%. In early 1990, they actually reached above 10% interest rates. Some people were way above that. Now, during the downturn of the 90s, rates did start to drop, going down to around 8%. Now, in the early 2000s, rates did start to drop pretty dramatically. And look how that turned out. We ended up crashing pretty hard just a couple years later, but we did rebound from that. But ultimately, that kind of set the standard for rates at the time. And people thought we're supposed to be around 4 or 5%. And then turns COVID, and we actually average around 3%, where people thought that that was the norm. Now, rates are not meant to be around 3%. When that happens, demand is going to skyrocket and prices are going to go through the roof on housing prices. So, yeah, you may get a lower rate, but can you actually afford the home? Now, as the rates increase, of course, prices are going to skyrocket, making a lot of homes not even affordable. Now, again, as we sit right now, it's July of 2023. Rates are just above 7%, where they were just about 20 to 30 years ago. However, prices are still on the rise because all of these home sellers who bought during COVID or bought when they had the lower rates do not want to put their house on the market. They want to hold that rate as long as possible. Now, if you bought before 2019, you have a ton of equity sitting in your property. So if you have the rate, but you have to move, you're going to have a lot of equity that you can pull out of that property, whether you want to do a cash out refinance or sell the property, gain that equity, and purchase the home of your dreams. Now, let's actually jump in to what's going on here in San Antonio, Texas. All right. So, again, just at the end of June, early July, we're looking at an average of about 339,880 for list price, for median list price. That doesn't mean it's the highest. That doesn't mean it's the lowest. That means they take all the listings across the San Antonio area, and that is the median middle list price of 339. That's what we're seeing right now. Now, if we take a look at this time last year, July of 2022, we're about 349. So prices did drop slightly, but that was the very peak of the market. When rates started going up, people started buying like crazy before the rates went up. So that's when prices kind of shot through the roof. As you can see, it really only went up for that time period and then went straight back down. As we got to the end of the year, in the beginning of 2023, we got around to about the low 315. Now, prices are starting to go back up as people see that prices are not going to drop as dramatically as they thought they were. And of course, we're still short on inventory. Take a look at this on the inventory. So we have right now about 4,817 homes, and it's kind of stayed pretty steady like that for a while. We actually had a peak end of last year around November where we're around 5,000, but we're staying pretty steady at around 4,800. Now, take a look at last year. Inventory was absolutely crazy when prices were through the roof. We were around 2,000 or right under 2,000. That was absolutely insane. But if you take a look back here in like 2019 before COVID hit and the market was on a normal market, we're above 6,000 on a regular basis. And that's where we should be. We should always be around 6,000 on a regular basis to keep us in a balanced market. Right now, we're still about 1,000 short of where we need to be. So prices are still on a slight rise, not as crazy as they were, but they're definitely still rising. Now, if we take a look at the data on Redfin, if you look at sell to list price, you're looking around 98%. That means whenever someone lists their home, they're getting an average of 98% of what they listed the property for, which is nothing crazy. It's only a drop of about 4%. So people are still getting what they're looking for on the market because we still have a ton of buyers who are looking to move to the San Antonio area. Now, if we take a look at homes sold above list price, we're around 25%, which is actually a pretty dramatic drop of around 30% year over year. Again, people are not paying way over asking price. So if you're a seller and you want to get the most money, don't try to list it what you would have listed it for in 2020. You need to list it very competitively and put it on the market what it's actually valued at to bring in the right buyers because buyers are not paying over asking price as much as they have been in the past. Now, just take a look at the home prices with price drops. There's 37%, that's up 12%. That means a lot of buyers list their house thinking they can get one price, and after 2 weeks on the market or longer or whatever they feel is necessary, they have to drop the price to get what they're looking for. Once a price drops on a property, people are going to start to wonder what's wrong with this property. Why are they dropping the price? So you're going to actually get less than you would have gotten before if you just listed upfront at the right price. One of the things that I always like to look at in the market is where are people coming from? Where are people moving to San Antonio from? Take a look here. The number one place is Los Angeles, California, Chicago, Illinois, Austin, Texas, San Francisco, Seattle, Washington, Washington, D.C., Houston, San Diego, New York, and Laredo, Texas. So we got people coming from all over a lot of these major cities across the United States. Just take a look at this map. There's a ton from the East Coast and a ton from the West Coast and Chicago. Uh, Not sure why Chicago, but we get a lot of people coming from around the country, not just Texas. Now, of course, we do have people leaving San Antonio on a regular basis as well, but there are way more coming than are leaving. So we are going to continue to rise in population, which means the demand for homes is going to continue to rise, ultimately meaning prices will continue to rise. Now, we're not going to be going up 20%, 30%, but we are going to be on a slow, steady 4 to like 8% rise in price year over year. So if you take a look at the data, just kind of comparing where people are moving to, just take a look at the growth compared to Austin, Texas. As we know, last year, the year before, a ton of people were moving to Austin, Texas. But as of now, we've actually surpassed Austin and we are growing faster than Austin. Let's also take a look at Houston, Texas. So it looks like Houston is actually growing a little bit faster than San Antonio, and Dallas, Texas is growing the fastest. So consider that when looking to make a move. Dallas and Houston are probably going to have much higher prices, whereas Austin's, I mean, we already know their prices are through the roof. Ultimately, this still makes San Antonio the obvious choice where you want to be. We still have a great job market. We still have great schools. The cost of living is still way better than some of these other cities. Now, at the end of the day, you got to make the right decision for you and your family, whether you're looking to buy, sell, whatever it may be. There's always a great time to make a move in real estate. It's just got to be the right thing for you and your family. Everybody has a different situation going on. The market's right for some people, but it's not always right for everybody. It could be right for you depending on your situation. And that situation is really all up to you because everyone is definitely different. One of the great things about buying in this market is you're not going to be paying well above what the home is worth. Yes, you might get a higher interest rate, but at the end of the day, you can always get that lowered later on, but you're always going to gain the equity. As I mentioned, prices in San Antonio are going to continue to rise, and you're never going to lose money. You lose money if you go in and pay $50,000, $60,000 up front when interest rates are lower. So just keep that in mind. One of the things to look at right now as well is new construction. A ton of these builders still are full of inventory, and because of that, they're providing some amazing incentives, cutting costs, covering closing costs. Some are even covering down payment where you can get into a home for practically nothing. Got any questions? Again, I'm a licensed realtor here in San Antonio. If we haven't spoken before, reach out to me today. I'm always here to help you guys. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Talk to you later.